My name is Lexa Funderburg, and welcome to the Artist Series. Vincent Willem van Gogh was born on March 30th, 1853 in Groot-Zundert, Netherlands, a year after his stillborn brother, also named Vincent. So this poor child, both monetarily and psychologically, grew up with his exact name and birth date only a year earlier on a gravestone. Because of this emotional stress that his mother, Anna Carbentus, had put on herself and her son, she couldn't accept him. However, her love of art and nature was adopted by young Vincent. At the age of 15, financial difficulties hit the family. Vincent's father forced him to leave school to work on an art dealership, which, if you ask me, is a pretty good job if you already liked art. Vincent worked at the Gruppel Gallery and thrived during his time there, and before you say anything about child workers, keep in mind that this is the 1860s in the Netherlands and they probably didn't have child labor laws yet. After Vincent had failed to become a minister and follow in his father's footsteps, he still wanted to preach about the beauty of nature and the laboring people. He decided he would do this through art. Vincent was largely self-taught, but Theo, his younger brother, supported him because Theo had become a successful art dealer. The reason we know so much detail about Vincent's life is because of his relationship with his brother. They wrote countless letters to each other documenting their relationship and lives. At age 28, Vincent finished his first oil work and first independent watercolor. He painted studies in the summer of 1882, and during this time he was given painting lessons by Anton Mauve, who was a cousin by marriage. In 1885, Vincent began work on The Potato Eaters, which prompted a series of portraits of working class people. With these, Vincent was striving to develop character types rather than creating individual people. Vincent worked on these in pencil and watercolor, finding actual color to be quite problematic for him at this point. As we know, Vincent had a really tough time growing up, and when he did things wrong, he injured himself and scolded himself like Dobby did. He knew 4 languages, but refused to learn Latin because he felt that it was a dead language, which it kinda is. This jeopardized his chances of getting into the School of Theology, and consequently ruined his future in the church. So, Vincent discovered Impressionism in 1886, which had a huge impact on his painting. He switched from dark colors, like in The Potato Eaters, to bright, vibrant ones, such as seen in his sunflowers. Vincent ended up studying with Lautrec and Pissarro, who were some very notable post-impressionist painters who we'll probably get to later in the series. These boys painted from sunup to sundown and were impatient with those who didn't. Vincent felt that no one was as dedicated as him, and only he and Paul Gauguin shared the same passion for art. Both of them explored formal elements and tested their ability to be expressive, unlike their post-impressionist friends Cézanne and Seurat. Theo paid Gauguin to watch over Vincent, while Vincent thought him and Gauguin were truly friends. They shared stories over absinthe and exchanged portraits, and were both fascinated by Japanism, which was a culture that focused on the art and style of Japan. Ukiyo-e prints held the largest impact. These prints focused on sylphed, cropping, flatness, intimacy, and decorative patterns. Vincent admired the essence of the painting being in the brushstrokes, so he began painting deliberately with this in mind. Vincent now had a goal of global unity. When he moved to Arles in 1888, he began to paint with brighter colors. Arles was Vincent's Japan. How sweet is that? He dreamed of creating a painters' union and spent little money on food, but paid for canvas and paint and absinthe with what he had. Vincent drank turpentine and ate paint, which had lead in it, and lead poisoning wasn't really addressed until the 20th century, so it only contributed to his mental instability. He began to use color, which he was once afraid of and intimidated by, but now used it to express himself more forcefully. At this point, Vincent was scared of being left by Gauguin. The boys had an intense argument, and Gauguin stormed out of the little yellow house they shared. Vincent was emotionally distressed, so naturally, he fled to a brothel. He proceeded to cut off a portion of his left earlobe and gave it to a prostitute named Rachel, and that's the correct story of Vincent cutting off his ear, so you can go tell your friends and we can get this whole miscommunication cleared up. The next morning, Vincent was found by police and admitted to the Hotel Dieu hospital with delirium and seizures. The seizures subsided and the doctors decided he would live. Vincent's frantic pace of work made him even more ill than he already was. The doctors at Hotel Dieu allowed him to paint at his yellow house during the day, hoping it would help to calm him, and each night he would return to the hospital. Joseph Roulin, the postmaster and a good friend of Vincent's, promised Theo that he would help him take care of him. Theo then got married to a woman named Johanna, and Roulin moved to Marseille in southern France. Before the Roulins moved, Vincent painted every single member of the family. He did many copies of these paintings, which was exhibited in the Cleveland Museum of Art's Van Gogh Repetitions showing. I don't know if the exhibit's going on tour because I saw 2 of the pieces used in this series at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art's Expressionism showing. but it was pretty dang cool. Vincent painted and repainted some of his lesser known paintings, and if you're interested in that, I highly suggest you go check it out because this video would be like twice the length if I continued to talk about it. Vincent, without that friendship that he held so dear, turned to nature and painting, all that he believed God had left him. He was at his sanest when he was painting, but the city of Arles declared him a danger to the public, so therefore Vincent wanted to leave Arles because they had made him an outcast. His brother helped him get to the Saint-Remy Asylum, where he used one room as a studio and one room as living quarters. Vincent completed many, many paintings here in the gardens. During this time, he was invited to exhibit with Renoir, Cézanne, and Lautrec in Brussels. He sent 6 paintings, including irises, which helped him stave off hallucinations, and Starry Night, which was inspired by his dreams and took almost 3 nights to finish, which is a really long time considering Vincent's style of painting. Theo was always trying to help Vincent sell his work because A, he was still an art dealer, and B, he loved his brother. Theo sold the Red Vineyards for 400 francs, which was Vincent's first canvas sold for profit. What? Crazy! This happened before he died, so don't let anyone tell you differently. 400 francs in 1890 is worth about $1,000 today, according to my super sketchy Google search, and you guys all should all cut me some slack because francs don't even exist anymore. Theo and Johanna named their baby boy after Vincent, and Vincent painted almond blossoms for his nephew, which symbolized new life. Collective awe in 3, 2, 1, aww. At this point, Vincent was living in Paris. The noises made Vincent anxious and upset, so Theo contacted Dr. Gachet, who agreed to take him in as a patient in Auvers-sur-Oise, a city 20 miles north of Paris. Vincent rented a room at the Ravoux Tavern, which Madame and Monsieur Ravoux owned, and they didn't really know about his condition. Nonetheless, Vincent painted Madame Ravoux on some occasions. Vincent never wanted to feel like a burden to Theo, and if Theo had lost hope in Vincent, there was nothing left for him. So Vincent behaved to the best of his abilities during his time there. Van Gogh was super involved with post-impressionism, which took impressionism even further with its beauty, color, and emotion. Because of the time period, machine ground paints had already come around, using poppy oil as a binder instead of linseed oil, and that helped Vincent's paintings hold the texture of his groundbreaking brushstrokes. Vincent's most popular subjects were self-portraits, flowers, landscapes, and still lifes. His paintings are well known for the agitated swirling brushstrokes in the moods of passion and vibrancy. He was heavily concerned with the emotional reaction to the subject through color and brushwork. Some hallmarks of his art include thick impasto and choppy brushstrokes or wavy ribbons, simple forms and pure bright colors, and curling rhythms suggesting movement. Believe it or not, Vincent produced over 800 paintings in his 10-year career, and 70 of them came from his last 70 days of his life. What? Straight up cray, if you ask me. Vincent was one of the first to thoroughly incorporate a wide range of colors into his paintings. When Theo asked him why he only ever signed his paintings Vincent, he replied that no one would ever say their last name correctly, which was very, very true. On July 27, 1890, Vincent walked into a wheat field and shot himself in the chest. As most of us know, there was and still is lots of speculation about this. He managed to stagger back to his room at the Ravoux house, and 2 days later, on July 29th, he died with his brother Theo at his side. He was buried in Auvers the next day, and Theo, 6 months later, died while in an asylum and was buried right next to him. Johanna, Theo's wife, took it upon herself to collect all of Vincent's works that he had scattered over Europe. Vincent's mother lived to see him as an artist and as a genius. Vincent was a spiritual discoverer. He saw truth others could not see, gave it form, color, and eternal life. Some of Vincent's most famous work include The Bedroom at Arles, 1887, Sunflowers, which there's lots of, The Café Terrace at the Place du Forum, 1888, The Starry Night over the Rhone, 1888, Iris de Saint-Remy, 1889, Starry Night, 1889, Church at Auvers, 1890, and Wheatfield with Crows, 1890. If any of this interested you, I highly suggest you do some research to find out just how fascinating art history can be. Any suggestions on who I should cover next? Let me know in the comments and I'll meet you in the library.
Thank God your camera was about to die, so